Video trace. And then I had my, oh God, I want to say barium swallow, but I don't think it was a berry swallow. It was the other thing. It was the one with the disgusting stuff. So they could x-ray my stomach. And they looked at it. It was the most disgusting stuff in the world I've ever tasted. I've never had to do any of that for my sleep because I haven't. It was disgusting. So I was on like this big table thing that kind of goes like that and like that. And in front of you, there's like an X-ray machine near your belly area. That's why I first had to go braless. Because of the metal from the X-ray. Anyways, so Rosella kept trying to make me feel comfortable because now I was needing to wear like this paper thing, and I was still needing to go throughout the hospital, and I'm like, whatever. And no, mind you, I've never had babies, and I know women who've had babies could start caring about less. But there's a thing about my boobs. I just don't care. They're just there. There's nothing I can do about them. But she wanted them properly covered up, so I had to go in from one jacket where they could open from the front and then turn it around from the back so I could try to keep them encased. But yeah, so I got to see my x-ray of my stomach for the first time, and that was so interesting. It wasn't like perfectly banana shaped. It was kind of like cylindrical, whatever. Anyways, it was a little bigger on the top, the bottom, not like loopy top. Anyway, so Dr. Compost is the one who looked at the x-ray with me while he was doing it, and was telling me to drink and drink and drink. And I had started feeling restriction coming back again, less than a cup because of the liquid diet. And him and I both agreed that they weren't going to touch my sleeve. He didn't say it's a small sleeve, and he didn't say it was a big sleeve. He says about medium size. And we both agreed they were not going to touch my sleeve. They would have during the DS. That would have been like an additional $2,000. And actually, there's a lot additional risks going over a sleeve with a new staple line. So I was good with it. I still feel good with it. So I'm glad we didn't do that. But he agreed. And then they were looking at the caloric valve below the stomach, and they could tell obviously it was working because, then, the water to go back into the intestines. It was the most disgusting stuff. And then the aftertaste. Oh, thank God I had a cough drop to get rid of that, but it was horrendous. So I'm still hanging out with Edward at this time, and he didn't have such a bad experience because, one, he had a normal stomach, and they just needed to look at it, his anatomy. So I guess they call that a chest x-ray. But there's some gross stuff I had to drink. So then we were taken to the Lucerna Hotel. It was really nice. I got a bottom floor room at the end of the property. That made me a little uncomfortable, especially since there was a small gap in the door. But I put an ironing board in front of it, a chair in front of it, and then the doors between the two rooms, they don't have a lock on that either. They just have like no handle. So I put a chair in front of that as well. The shower was really nice. It was like a rain shower. I did bring my own antibacterial soap to shower with. No one directed me to, but that's how I wanted to do it. There's multiple restaurants on the property, but when you're having a DS, you still get to only have liquids. I would have loved to have some real Mexican food. So all we could have was broth. The broth situation is a nightmare. It's suggested that you could get it from the hospital and bring it back to your room. I was told by the woman who kind of watches over you at the hospital, Rosella's mother, Yolanda? I think her name is Yolanda. Yolanda. Could be. Yeah. She was like, no, that's only for the patients. So whatever Facebook suggestion I read, that was at least BS that weekend. So fortunately, I had downloaded Google Translate before I left, and anyways, I was trying to ask for chicken broth only. It didn't work out too well because the waitress thought she knew what I asked for since she was one of them that spoke English, but they still brought me the noodles and the chicken and the vegetables. And she was like, "Oh, we'll just bring you more broth as you go through it," which, that was really kind. They did, however, put a nice big hot roll and butter on the table too. Damn you! That was cruel and unusual punishment. But then Edward, he was sitting further in the restaurant, and his waiter got it right. He only had broth. So actually, a little bit later, someone had brought me a bowl of only broth. So someone had finally gotten it. They should make it way easier if they know they're bringing those patients in there. Again, yes, I do not speak Spanish very well. I speak muy poquito, and believe me, talking about chicken broth is nothing that they taught us in high school at all. So I slept pretty well. They did give you like a sleeping pill, anti-anxiety med. I don't know what it's called because there was no name on it. I don't know if it's what helped me sleep, but it helped me sleep more. And then we were also given an antibiotic pill, which you're supposed to take at least by 10 o'clock that night, and I took around 8:30. Because obviously you want to have antibiotics in your body before surgery. So we were picked up at 6:30 at the hotel. Ernesto took us back to the hospital. And then we were put in our rooms, which is where the really fun part starts. So we were asked to put our robes on. So it means I took everything off underneath my robe. I only had my robe on, and then I had my sandals on. And I guess I was just waiting patiently because in essence they could have still told us our pre-op is a no-go, because the pre-op said, you shouldn't have surgery. And I can't remember the order of the doctors, but I had at least 3 doctors in. Dr. Campos came in. Dr. Esquera came in. The anesthesiologist guy, he came in. There might have been a 4th one. I'm not 100% sure. So I had a specific request that I spoke to both the anesthesiologist and Dr. Esquera. They both agreed to it. And after Esquera and I kind of talked, I just wanted, again, I said the traditional DS with the 2 osmosis is, and he's like, yes, the traditional DS. So he knew what I wanted. He knew he wasn't touching my sleeve. So by the end of it, I hugged him and told him I trusted him, and I'm alive, so that's a good start. Since, if you can't trust your surgeon, then you're kind of screwed. So I felt really good with that, and I had requested previously, before I even got down there, if I could possibly be the first one. It's also kind of selfish because I didn't want to wait around. And I was told basically, yes, you get to have surgery. And I was like, awesome. And you're first. So they wheeled me through the hospital because at Amatar, they don't have any patient corridors. It's all just one small hospital. So it's going past people waiting. So that kind of, if you think about some of the sicknesses that could be through there, you might catch. But the hospital is really clean. Not that I would, but if you drop something on the floor, you could almost feel safe if, we didn't have that mentality that you shouldn't eat off the floor. It was really clean. More into that later. Wheeled me into the operating room. They had, I'm presuming, the operating bed because I don't quite remember, but I went from the bed I was in that was in my room and onto another bed. I did assist them to get me on it. I didn't actually look at the bed, but I do remember at least my left arm they were putting back because they were putting the IV in it. I'm like, oh my God, I don't do needles. Because at this point, I still hadn't been given any freaking loopy-loop drugs. And I knew exactly what the hell was going on. I can't remember if the anesthesiologist in my room or in there explained to me that they actually don't use a gas anesthesia. He actually uses an IV anesthesia. And he even told me to do 2 different types of drugs. And apparently one of them is one that assisted Michael Jackson in his untimely death. But he's like, I know what I'm doing. So I knew once the IV started, they did an excellent job on, by the way. I mean, you can't even tell. I mean, because I went back to work in like a week, and you couldn't tell, which was my worst thing, was that you're going to see freaking like bruises all over me, which I wouldn't be able to hide, because I told work that I needed to help a friend, which I did. I'm my friend, and my friend needed my help. And then where they had drawn the blood, that was a very small bruise. So I wasn't like all bruised up that anybody could see, because I thought I was going to have to wear like Band-Aids to like kind of cover it up. But I didn't. Good job, people with needles at Amateur Hospital through Mexicali Bariatric Center. But then they were starting to give me gas and, oxygen. I'm guessing it's oxygen. And the first of that, it was probably the drugs entering my system through the IV, but it was hard to breathe. Even, anyways, like, the second that they put over that with me, with whatever in the hell was going through my bloodstream, I don't remember anything. It was lovely. So all I remember are wonderful things. And when I did find out from my surgical report, because I did get a full surgical report before I left, was that they did, in fact, hit me with a Lovimox, the anti-blood clotting needle, which apparently is a sucky thing. I'm pretty sure that that's the bruise I still have on my stomach. I am going to show you. That's a bruise. And I think that's the bruise from the needle, from the anti-blood clotting blood thinner, the blood thinner thingy. So I'm so glad that I was out for that. So they did take care of me in that regard, because by that time they knew I was a sappy girl, and I do know that they gave that to others while they were still awake and alert, and I am, not me. So I woke up, I was somewhere downstairs. It wasn't quite the same kind of wake up that I had in the U.S., the same U.S. hospital I had both my VSG and my gallbladder surgery in, where, they're like, your name, what's your name, tell us your name. I don't remember any of that. I just kind of remember, like, waking up, and I didn't feel, like, dead to the world, like the way I woke up after my other anesthesia, so that was really nice. I felt like I was on, like, a pain med or something, but I didn't feel like, I'm going to die, like, recovery. So I felt really good, and then they took me back through the same hallways to get me to my room. By the way, let's start talking about the room. Room 41, I believe. So this was the room that I started out in the morning. Room. So I began that morning in room 41. I began my initial recovery in room 41. And sometime that evening, when I became a little more alert, but I was still out of it on morphine. Some nurse, because I needed something and I was, don't speak Spanish, she thought, I don't know, it'd be good to move me back down to the first floor where the other patients are who speak English. So they were getting ready to move me into room 25. 25 next to Melinda, who was there the day before getting her Virgin DS. And she knew before me that they were going to move me, because she asked me if they'd moved me yet. I'm like, what are you talking about? And then they were trying to move me. I didn't ask to be moved, but I was moved. It got me into the one room. About the time before they moved me, I was starting to complain because I I was getting like a chalky, dry mouth. It was horrible. And I knew I couldn't drink water. Couldn't drink anything. But I had brought a water bottle with me and I wanted to just rinse my mouth out. So that started part of the problem. And then I'm going to have to end this video. This is going to become a video 4! Sorry.